Hello and welcome to Wednesday, May the 20th. I am Michael Bean, and this is a confidence on camera lesson. You can find more at confidenceoncamera.com, including a link to kids and teens and adult classes. I teach both kids and teens and adults. There's not a huge difference. Good acting is good acting. The difference is mostly the material. Today we're going to be looking at a scene between a teen and an adult, which I will try and do more in these story lessons so that I've given a little something for each. Also, I think it's useful to look at the story from two different characters' perspectives. So that's what I want to try today as a way of helping you see that when you make story choices, you're making them not about the story as a whole in some magical way, but about the story from your character's perspective. So there's the story the writer's given us, but I think it's really important to make sure that your choices are coming from the perspective of your character. So let's start by looking at the script for today, which is from a show called Playing Dead, or at least that's the title that I have on my script. So here we go. Interior Rice funeral home, kitchen, evening. Joe sits at the kitchen table, surprisingly calm, or maybe he's dead inside. Hard to say. He hears the front door open. Tyler, OS means off screen. Now this is something that comes up from actors all the time. They say, should I say this off camera? Because it is off screen. It says so in the script, OS. Sometimes it's like OC, so off screen or off camera. No, of course don't say, if you're playing Tyler, do not say that line from where the camera can't see you. Even if it says that you enter, it's always a good idea to start where the camera can see you and just start, half a step back or half a step to the side, so that right from the first moment, the camera is seeing you and what you're like as a character and getting an immediate hit. Now, I don't know if you remember Tiffany Mack saying a couple of weeks ago that if it doesn't grab us, she said, she was like, I'm sorry, this is just the truth. If it doesn't grab me, either aesthetically, meaning how it looks, or you as a person, the character, if it doesn't grab me in the first 20 or 30 seconds, I'm probably not going to watch it. Probably not going to watch the rest. So I would say make sure the camera sees you right at the beginning, regardless of what it says in the script, because this is lifted from the actual shooting draft of the script. This is what they're going to use to make the TV show or the movie. And language, sorry. That's embarrassing. This actually, I should have gone over this beforehand. Give me one moment here. Because this doesn't make it like even more obvious. We'll just pretend this didn't happen. You don't know anything. Haha, see, it's mysterious. Now, these are lifted from the shooting draft of the script. So I would say that very often they will put in things that you don't have to realize, you don't have to make it happen exactly. So Tyler, I'm home, and here Tyler walks in out of sorts from his fight with George. Okay, so whoever Tyler is, if you're playing Tyler, you just got in a fight with someone. The fact they've just given us a first name means that the character has appeared in the movie before this. So it's either a friend or somebody he knows. What's for dinner? I was thinking we'd order fried chicken, since you probably won't be able to get that in Buenos Aires, though I hear the coffee is great. Joe hands Tyler a printout of his plane ticket. Tyler runs the gamut of teenage emotions. Now, if you were doing this and you were like, hey, I wonder what the word gamut means, I should look that up. I might be able to do that even right from this program. Look up gamut. The complete range or scope of something, right? Only takes a second, and now I know what it means. Buenos Aires is a city in Argentina. First, terror. Dad, I can explain. Nope. Okay, then Tyler fast moves past fear into righteous indignation. The script is interesting because the writer has spelled out some feelings. Now, I don't know if you remember this from a previous story session, but even if they spell out the feelings, you do not have to do those feelings on that line. I think you have to include them in the scene. I think it's really important, but you read it for information because the writer is putting this in here so the producer can understand what the story is about. So you went on my computer without asking me. Do you have any idea what a violation that is? Does privacy mean nothing to you? Right? And again, if you didn't know what this word is, super easy. I wonder what indignation means. The anger or annoyance provoked by what is perceived as unfair treatment, right? So terror, oh no, into like, this is totally unfair, violation, privacy. Does privacy mean nothing to you? Nope. Now Tyler's a little confused. Nope, it means nothing, or nope, you're not having this conversation. Oh, we are having a conversation, but you are not leading it, right? If you are playing Joe, then taking note of these capital letters, I think is really important. It doesn't mean that you, if you're playing Joe, that you have to shout it. You know, I think it would be a little bit over the top if you said, "Oh, we are having a conversation." You'd be like, "Ah, what's happening?" You know, but it's the emphasis the writers put in there because it's meaningful for understanding this line. And if I take the emphasis out, the line actually doesn't make so much sense. Oh, we are having a conversation, but you are not leading it. It's like, what? Like, I don't understand what the character's feeling. Well, if I don't lead it, it won't happen. So whatever. What the hell does that mean? It means you don't talk to me about anything ever. So why would I have to talk to you about this? Because I'm your father. That's how this relationship works. But this relationship doesn't work. That's the point. I ask questions, you never give me any answers because I don't have any answers, right? Now, why did the writer choose to underline this word and put this one all in caps? We'd have to ask the writer. It's mysterious. But it's not like there is a special magic thing that you should know about capitals versus underlines. Honestly, writers sometimes capitalize something or they put it in italics, so it's just like sideways a little bit, or they underline it. And it's up to you to just know that that means that this is important. This is meaningful, that it's emphasized in some way. And don't get into your head too much about the difference between them. I don't have any answers, which is why I'm going to Buenos Aires, because she does. You're not going anywhere except maybe back to Dr. Wu. I don't need a shrink, Dad. Shrink is, in this case, means psychiatrist. Okay, so Dr. Wu is his psychiatrist. I need to talk to my mother. Arg. Joe's wants to smack the stupid off this kid. Instead, he takes a breath, brings it down a notch. What makes you think your mom lives in Buenos Aires? I'm just curious. I don't think she lives there, but I know Aunt Lucia does. Joe reacts, legitimately surprised by Tyler's knowledge. Now, always have to very carefully read the stage direction in between, because this gives you information about reactions. It gives you information about the story. Right? Even if you're playing Tyler, this is important, because you need to know what happens between these lines. Then you're including that in your performance, even if it's not necessarily something you have to do, but I think it's something that you really need to understand. How do you know about Aunt Lucia? Remember that Target gift card you gave me for my birthday last month? I sold it for cash and hired a PI. PI in this case means private investigator. Right, a little bit of Googling will help you find out these things. Otherwise, you can ask somebody else in your life if you need. Genuinely confused. Why would you do that? I'm 16 dead. Do you really expect him to go my whole life without ever looking for her? Joe realized he did expect that, and maybe that was foolish. So he stops arguing and starts listening. Anyway, the PI called me yesterday. It turns out Aunt Lucia still lives in the same city where she and Mom were born. He couldn't get an address, but I figured I'd go and see what I could sniff out. I booked an Airbnb through this guy Carlos, very reasonable rate. Speechless, Joe just shakes his head. He doesn't even know where to begin. His reaction makes Tyler defensive, more defensive. Now, this tells you that the character was already feeling defensive. If we didn't know what this word meant, or if you want to just be super clear about it, in protecting yourself, right? They makes him more defensive. Doesn't mean you have to use that as a line reading here, but you need to use it for information, right? Now we've got underlines and capitals. Okay, so at least for this writer, maybe that means that like a capital is bigger than an underline. You're right. It's not bad. It's terrible. It's ridiculous. Okay. Yeah, and you could certainly try the line like that and see if it feels right to you. But this is information for the person reading. This isn't here's how to feel for the actor. Well, it's better than never doing anything at all. You never even tried to look for Mom. Joe stiffens, indicating there's more to the story that will be revealed in episode 2, 3 at the latest. Tyler, I see that you're angry and I understand, but acting like an idiot isn't going to fix anything. What's so stupid about wanting to meet my own mother? Thanks to you, I don't even know what the one looks like. Thanks to me, this is my fault. You're the one who burned all our pictures. Seriously, who does that? It's a thing. People do it. The reason you don't know your mother isn't because I burned her pictures. It's because she left us. She left you. And I don't blame her. I wish I could. Ouch. Tyler, mercifully, this moment is interrupted by the doorbell. So it's the end mark is here before the doorbell. Even if the end mark wasn't there, I would say end here, because the doorbell is not the important thing in the scene. The relationship with the dad is. That you're going to, and we're going to get into these choices in a minute. How do you affect the dad? Now, rather than pulling up these links beforehand, I pulled up an IMDB search, and I'm going to go through it with you. So style, story, my version. And so we start with style, which is like, can we find 30 seconds of, even 30 seconds or a minute of this show? Can we find the trailer? Now, if you have the option to watch the whole first episode on Netflix, if you're auditioning for season 2, great, if you've got the time. But remember, these questions should be something that like we can do here in 10 or 15 minutes, and you can do in the car in 10 minutes on your way to the audition. If you're like, maybe I should like think about some of these extra details. I wonder if that will like help my scene have a little bit more. We heard Ricky say yesterday that preparation has become really important to him, that he still gets really nervous, but it's the preparation that helps him find the fun. And that's what this time is. It's not homework. It's not something you have to do. It's something that if you do it, maybe you'll find more of the fun. And like that's why we do it. That's why we want it. So the project again was called Playing Dead. And so I went onto IMDb and looked for Playing Dead. And let me show you what I found. Find Playing Dead TV movie, Playing Dead 2013, Playing Dead 1. Interesting. So it's one of these two. And I looked at both. All right, so we've got Playing Dead 2018, comedy, crime, 2018 UK. Okay, so it's probably not the UK one. Interesting that there's no write-up for this, anything like that. But comedy and crime doesn't seem like a very good fit. So this is, now we're like really sleuthing. So we go to this, Playing Dead TV movie, drama. A family of morticians are confronted by the mother who abandoned them years ago and her request to help fake her death. Okay, interesting. So this seems like the right one. Now, in the script, you probably saw the reference to season 2 or season 3, which tells me that Playing Dead was written as a TV pilot and then produced, but probably not picked up. Right. So the character. Now we could look here at the characters' names in the script that we looked at are Tyler and Joe. And so we could look here and see if there's a Tyler and a Joe. There's good. So there's Joe. Okay, so this is definitely the script we've got. Interestingly, I'm not seeing a Tyler. So who knows what that means, right? The script was 28. It could have been quite a bit before 2018. Let me see if I can find a year on the script. Yeah, copyright. 2018. So it could very easily have changed substantially after it was made, but let's assume that this is the one, Playing Dead 2018. And let's assume further that because this is a pilot or something new, that you don't have the option of looking up this show. You can't just like look up Playing Dead and watch part of it because they're just in the process of making it. So I would say always start with the director. Remember, the director is the one who's in charge of the story. And so the director is often the best thing to look for if you're trying to get a sense of the style. So we go to Rachel Lee Goldenberg. Okay. We go to, Playing Dead. I'm Sorry, TV series. Teachers, TV series. Okay, so it looks like she's directed mostly television. Pilot. Okay, let's see if I'm Sorry gives us a video clip. And it does. Okay.
Did you just call my mom's nipples old? Wow, She is not going to be happy when I have to 100% tell her you said that.
No, you won't.
Yes, I will.
You won't tell her that I said her nipples are old.
You know that I will, though.
How are we running late?
We rose with the sun. Amelia, come on, let's go.
Mommy,
How are you not dressed?
I didn't know if it would be hot or cold today.
Oh my God.
Okay, so family comedy. Now if we really wanted to do our research, we would also look at the writers, and the producers, and then that would give us, between those things, it would give us a sense. Now we won't follow them all and watch those clips now because it would take more time than I want to spend right now. But just so you know, and again, we're okay. Producer looks okay. So they were also an executive producer on Playing Dead. Before that, they did Mistresses. So Mistresses probably is going to be, based on the title, very different than the sweet family comedy that we just saw from the director. So that's interesting. Writer, what did she write just before that? Playing Dead, Valor, and Mistresses. So we can look at either of these. Same thing with Rena. Playing Dead, The Catch. Okay, so these two are listed as the writers. They're producers for the movie. They were producers for these TV shows. So and especially they were both producers for Mistresses. So if we were going to pull up Mistresses, that probably would give us a sense of the style. Is like a little bit of Mistresses, and a little bit of the sort of sweet family comedy that we saw. Now, if this gives me a are you over 18, then we're not going to watch it.
Getting some?
Now that you're here, I suddenly feel like changing my plans.
Okay, so the both of them are snappy. One of them is going to be like sort of stripped down, and one of them is sort of more animated. But it gives us just like a broad sense of the style. So then we go back here. Okay. The style, whatever we decide. Style is drama, slick, some humor. That's maybe our best guess. Story, Tyler wants to meet his mom, fighting with dad. And then it's, if you're playing Tyler, right? So if you're playing the kid here, then what's your version of the story? What's the piece of it that stands out for you from reading through? Is it, Olivia, your background's super distracting, so I'm going to turn off your video and tell you to turn that off. Is it, and you can put this in the chat window, or you can unmute yourself, and toss it out there. If you're playing Tyler, is it, like my dad is trying to keep this from me, and I have to find my mom. Is it like is it this stuff about his dad being like dead inside? Maybe that's the arc of the show, of this scene, that appeals to you. You're like, oh yeah, this is about like confronting my dad about how like he just is never real with me, and the mom is just how you're getting there. Is it something else? Now, and then if you are playing the dad, or if you're playing the parent, then it's what version of the story is right for you. Is this like, an old skeleton in your closet, so like out of nowhere catches you in the face and you're like, whoa? Or is this, like your teenage, your teenager, like asserting their independence, in a way that's inappropriate or scary, or is it something else? There are always different ends to the story. I mean, we're still going to go the same place. We're going to go the place the writer gave us. But what's your end to it emotionally? And I think making that choice at a top level helps you tell that story in a nice, clear way. So if we're going to go back to playing dead, my version, etc., then the characters. We make choices about the characters. Now, a lot of time we can pull this right from the breakdown, but if we are, so Tyler, what would you say are some adjectives to describe Tyler? Again, you can just hit your space bar, which will temporarily unmute you, and you can shout them out, or you can pop them in the chat window, whatever suits you best. Right? And this is interesting, if you're not just describing Tyler, but if you're playing Tyler, then what is Tyler's self-identity? Right? How does Tyler think of himself? Right? Because it's probably not going to be irritating or something, right? Like the obnoxious. If we're describing Tyler from independent, perfect. Dependent, right? This is the guy who sold the gift card that he got for his birthday to hire a private investigator so he could find his mom. Knows what he's doing, right? So competent. You know what, Maddox? I should just use your words. Knows what he's doing. Determined. Great. And then from Tyler's perspective, who's Joe? What's Joe like? Right, we've got some evil, cold. Right, so cold is probably more descriptive than evil. He's right. He's cold. He's obnoxious. He's fake. Ooh, right. So we're fake. Great reasons, to like shake him up. Now, if just as an exercise, we were going to do it the other way around. From Joe's perspective, if you're playing Joe, what's controlling? Ooh, good one. If you're playing Joe, he probably doesn't think of himself as, cold, obnoxious, fake, and controlling. If you're playing Joe, what's your story of yourself? Responsible parent, exactly. What else? Okay.
Strong?
Strong, wonderful. Intelligent, right? That he's doing his best in a tough situation, right? His wife left and he's trying to protect the family and, trying to like care for everybody, and what's Tyler? For this responsible parent, who's like, Tyler is what? He's naive, exactly, right? He doesn't know the way the world really works. He's an idiot. Maybe, like he's certainly irresponsible. Now you see how these are two very different versions of the scene? He's a brat. He's inconsiderate. Right? Look at all these things. There we go. Yeah. Ungrateful. We'll use your word instead. Ungrateful. Right? All these things that I'm doing for you, and all you can think of, is what I'm not doing. Like you're so ungrateful. This is if you're playing Tyler. This is if you're playing Joe. The relationship is really clear. They're father and son. The strong feeling or opinion is what makes that different. So the risk is that if you only make the relationship choice, father and son, then you end up filling in the opinion that you have of your parent. And so if you're playing Tyler, well, maybe you do have a parent who's cold, obnoxious, fake, and controlling, but I really hope not. And so what is the strong feeling or opinion about that person? How can you put into words? You're like, oh yeah, it's like the principal at my school. I mean, hopefully you also don't have a principal who's cold, obnoxious, fake, and controlling, but maybe you do. Or maybe you've interacted with somebody who's like that. Or maybe you saw your parents get pulled over by a police officer for speeding once, and you were like, and that was the impression you had of the police officer. It doesn't have to be something where you've spent loads of time with them. It just has to be something where you're like, oh yeah, I know what that feels like. Oh, that's who I'm talking to. Okay, I get it. Something that has depth to it because I'm using my life. I'm like, okay, what is my strong feeling or opinion? And so often actors want to say, well, a little bit. They're a little bit obnoxious, or they're a little bit, but look at how strong these words are. This is likely to be effective. It's likely to make you feel. And then we follow that strong feeling or opinion into the objective. Well, what does Tyler want? Tyler wants to be able to go to Buenos Aires. What does Joe want? if you're playing Joe, then you have a little bit more flexibility there. But Joe wants to be a good parent, or Joe wants to not have this conversation, or possibly both. But each of those is going to take you in a different direction, right? Like, and you could also say, based on what is your version of the story. So let's look at a couple of different versions. Tyler's what he wants is just to like wake his dad up. That's one version of this story. If what Tyler wants to do is go to Buenos Aires at all costs, that's a different version of this story. Both fit this script. There's almost always more going on underneath the lines than is written there on the surface. And this is, for if you want the fancy terms, it's called psychological realism. That's the acting style that we're all doing. Where you hear somebody say, "I'm fine," but you got to look at them and go like, okay, what is their face doing? What's their tone of voice saying? What's underneath that line? Because they're probably not just fine. There's probably something else going on there. So in terms of, if you're playing Tyler, wake dad up, or go to Buenos. Yes. All right. I saw a couple of you nodding your head like, yes, you've spelled it, you're right, but I think I got Ari's wrong. Anyway, yes, I'm just going to leave that. Okay, so if I'm going to wake dad up, what do I need to make him feel? Maybe I need to make him feel very bad, right? Or I need to make him feel ashamed of himself. Or I need to make him very angry. Either way, I need to do something to wake him up. Now, if my goal is to get him to go to Buenos Aires, then maybe my goal in the scene, or what I want to get him to feel or do in the scene is I need to make him feel sorry for me. Wildly opposites. Like, look, my life is hard. I just need to see my mom. You're being so unreasonable. It's way different from like, you're being unreasonable because you suck. Wake up. Totally different. And then that when I turn that into a phrase, I could even use the same phrase. But right. So it's not about right or wrong. It's about more or less effective. So I could use wake up as my phrase if that helped me feel it. And knowing what I did for these choices, it's like, okay, gotcha. So if I want to really make dad mad so that he feels anything, because he's such a robot, then I can go into the scene with like, wake up, dad, come on, wake up. And I as the actor can do that before the camera rolls. If I'm taping at home, I can, or as I'm rehearsing, I can say that before each one of my lines. I can find 100 different ways to say wake up. I can find 100 different ways to make somebody angry. And I'm just using that simple phrase, but I'm using it to like torment him. Wake up. I'm using it to condemn him. Wake up. I'm using it to show him how much better I am than him. Wake up. All of these things that are going to piss him off because I just want him to like crack out of there. Or, I can show him, I can get him to pity me. Wake up. I can get him to pay attention to me. Wake up. Right. So what we want is a short, charged emotional phrase that will take you into the objective of the character. And then if you wanted to, again, sort of use more like academic acting terminology, then we would say that the different ways that I'm using that wake up, are what are usually called tactics or verbs, which is you putting active verbs on each one. But if that works for you, great. Write it all out, put verbs by each one. The way that I've found effective for me and that I often use in class, because it takes us right into the feeling instead of into the idea, is just to find that short phrase and then just keep finding different ways of saying it. And every time I lose how I am trying to affect the person in the scene, I come back to it and back to it and back to it. Beautiful. Thank you so much for throwing in your understanding of the characters. That helped a lot. Let me put it back into gallery view. Do you have any questions for me before we wrap today? Okay. I just found out tomorrow we're gonna have Leanne Lapp, who was here a couple of weeks ago doing story. She found some of the audition sides from Stranger Things. She got them from a friend, and so we're gonna have a special Stranger Things lesson, and she's going to go through some of these scripts with us and talk about like how you would break them down if you were auditioning for those characters. So you and all of your Stranger Things friends can come and check it out from 1 to 1:30 tomorrow. And then on Friday, there's a woman named Kirsten Clarkson who's going to be our special guest. Now, Kirsten started School Creative and Studio on the Drive here in Vancouver. She's been a talent agent and a casting director, and currently she runs an online acting school. And she's one of the teachers, who I really like, respect, and admire. And so we're going to start collaborating, and I'm excited to be in dialogue with her on Friday. And then I'm going to send out some emails to casting directors and see if we can get a casting director for the following Friday. Okay, thanks for making time today. And I will see you at the next one. Ciao.
Thank you.